edition of Living Simply with me, Nicole, your hostess with the mostest. So let's just dive right into the experiment chit-chat, shall we? So I decided to go without my cell phone for a week. I was not scared of this. I did not freak out. Quite frankly, when the class freaked out, I thought it was a little bit dramatic, and I'm a very dramatic person. So I've been told. When I first told my friends and my family, it was definitely a reaction that I expected. Everyone was shocked. In this day and age, we're so attached to our cell phones. We reach in our pockets for them every 2 seconds without even knowing why we really need them. So when I got the reactions of, oh, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you giving up your limbs? I was just kind of like, I'm doing it. So if you want to reach me, you can send a carrier pigeon because I think that should come back in style. My mother was definitely the most worried about it. Ever since I left for college 2 years ago, maybe, who knows, time flies and here I am. But anyway, and ever since I left for college, she texts me every single day, good morning and good night. And she's one of those moms, if you don't respond, she will get the bloodhounds out my door sniffing for me. So I always have to respond, and I make sure to respond. But being that I only gave away my phone, I still told her that I had my laptop, it was easily accessible, and I emailed her, and that's kind of how we communicated. She was very nervous when I first told her, but we did still have that communication through email. So let's see, what other questions we got here from the audience? Audience member number 7, do you have a question? That's a wonderful question. Did freeing myself from technology make my life more complicated or more easy? What a loaded question, audience member number 7. It complicates your life exponentially. Of course, there are ways around the complications, like getting in contact with, say, my mother, but I emailed her. If I had to, I could write her a letter. Alarm clocks, knowing the time. These are all things that you can kind of make provisions for. But I think just knowing that you don't have a cell phone to access if you need it, that's the hardest part about it. Okay, let me try this again. It makes your life easier and it makes your life a lot more complicated. So let's talk about dependency. I'm dependent on my phone. I don't really use my phone. I'm not a texting junkie. I'm not one of those people who needs to have my phone every 2 seconds. Like, I can leave it home, go out, run some errands, and be totally okay with it. But knowing that you're not allowed to be dependent on it is a scary thing because that's your lifeline. If you're in a tricky situation, if you don't have the answer to a question, if you are lost and you need directions to somewhere, that's what you rely on. And when you're stripped from that, you kind of have to rely on other people and rely on your instinct and your intuition to get you out of situations that might be risky, or you have to kind of open up your social circle to ask questions to people that maybe you don't want to ask, that a simple Google search would be easier to find out answers that you need. And I think that's the hardest thing, is not having something to depend on. That's made sense, I hope. And it makes your life easier. Okay, so like I said, I can kind of be like a solo bird. Like, I love my alone time. I love my downtime. My schedule sometimes is so jam-packed that I just like silence. For example, I'll have class until like 2:10, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then I'll work 2:30 to 10 o'clock at night. So when my schedule is so jam-packed and I interact with so many people on a daily basis, when I come home at 10 o'clock and I'm in my own bed, in my own apartment, I don't want to be bothered. Like, I don't want to respond to text messages. I don't want to respond to Snapchats. I don't want to see people's social media updates of them at McDitton's. Like, I don't want to see this, because honestly, I don't care and I'm tired. So it made my life easier in the sense that it gave me the excuse to say, oh, I didn't text you back because I didn't have my phone. Stupid class assignment. It gave me that excuse rather than saying like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I've been so busy and I don't want to talk to you because I just want to hear myself think for 2 seconds of the day, and I want to just cuddle in bed with my Netflix and not have to start up conversations that late at night. So that's how it made my life easier. I don't know if that experience would be the same for other people. Maybe for other people who don't interact with people so much on a daily basis, it would just continue to complicate their lives because they're not socializing. But because I socialize with classmates and professors and then other managers and coworkers and clients and so many people, that I like to hear myself think sometimes. And I think that's why I'm not so big on the cell phone, because I don't sometimes want to always start new conversations and talk about new things and learn about new problems and just have it all kind of pile up, and then I have to talk, and I don't like to socialize. I just don't want to socialize. So that's the answer to that question. My chicken nuggets are done, so we're gonna resume after I eat my dino nuggets. And it looks like Mr. Squirrel has a question to share with us. This was $5 at Target. I spent actual money on this, and I don't regret it for a second. Now let's see what kind of question he has to ask us. So Mr. Squirrel asks, how did this experiment affect your interactions with other people, and how did it feel to go without technology? Good question, Mr. Squirrel. Well, it made me interact with people a lot more. And that's because if you're in a loaded elevator and there's 7 people in there and you're the only freak without a phone just staring around, chances are you'll strike up conversations with anyone, which I typically do. I'm definitely an extrovert, so I don't mind talking to other people. There were times when, like I said, when I was in an elevator and I would just be like, so how was your day? A conversation I typically wouldn't start. I was in the Starbucks line a few times and I'd have to ask people, oh, what time is it? I'm on my break. And they would look at me like, what? Just pull out your phone. I'd be like, what? Can't do it. Don't have it. So it definitely made me more inclined to interact with people, which definitely grows your comfort level in having to interact with people when you're forced to. I am never typically afraid just to go up to someone and start a conversation, but the more practice, the better. And it feels nice to interact with people that you typically wouldn't interact with. So how did I feel without my technology? There are only, I want to say, 2 or 3 times throughout the week when I was really like, I need it. Where is it? I need my cell phone. And that's if I was trying to get in contact with probably my mother, because that's who I talk to all the time. There was one time I needed it to check the hours of walk and roll because I really wanted some Chinese food, and I was like, is it closed? Is it not? I need to know the hours of walk and roll. And then the third time, which I think is a huge, huge, huge thing that we haven't mentioned yet, is safety. Typically when I'm walking out of work, it's dark, it's late. It's a scary thing sometimes to be walking alone. I'm a very strong female, but I constantly have in the back of my mind, okay, well, what if something bad were to happen? How would you get yourself out of that situation without having a cell phone? My cell phone, and I'm sure everyone else can agree, is a huge source of security for me. It's really it acts as almost like a lifeline. If you're ever in trouble, if you're ever in a weird situation, if you're even uncomfortable with someone, you can pull up your phone. Another example, I went to Outpost on a Tuesday night, and it's not really my scene. Like I said before, I'm kind of a low-key, kind of quiet person. I like to be home at night. and I was out, and there are some weird guys out in the world. That's a surprise. And I would just be on my phone to kind of just give that message of don't talk to me because I don't want to talk to you ever. So it also serves the purpose of acting as a message. You know, when you see someone with their head down and they're like scrolling through their phone and they're double tapping and they're swiping right and they're swiping left and they're updating Facebook statuses and all that, you know not to speak to them. It's just kind of like a rule, I guess. So that too was a time where I thought I needed my phone. Audience member 12, you're on live. What's your question? That's a good one. That is a good question. What worried me the most about going without my technology? Let's see, not social media, because I'm not a social media lover. I mean, I do scroll on the Instagram sometimes, but I don't post pictures because I don't live for the likes. I don't live for the likes. What worried me the most was probably like the technical things. I remember one time, one of my friends invited me over to their apartment, and I was like, I don't have a GPS because I don't have a phone. How am I going to know where I'm going? So that freaked me out. Not having an alarm freaked me out. I used an application on my laptop, but it could have been faulty. It didn't, but it had that little % warning like this might not work. So that happened. It was definitely the technical side of things, and just having it there to pull it out, like if I needed to. Like if I was awkwardly walking down the same hallway as someone, sometimes I'll just go like this so it looks like I'm really busy, even though I'm not. I'm not doing anything on here. That, for me, was the hardest thing to let go of. So let's take a fan email question, shall we? Let's see. Faithful fan writes, Dear Nicole, let me just start off by saying I love your show. Thank you, faithful fan. Love my show too. Best show on the internet if you ask me. Anyway, she writes, when Thoreau says we should live simply, why was he saying this? I mean, what was he talking about? What was possibly going on in the 19th century? From faithful viewer. Well, faithful viewer, let me tell you, it was the height of the Industrial Revolution. Now, that basically means technology, people, here it comes, it's taken over, and it's going to kill us. That's a short, accurate synopsis of the Industrial Revolution. Thoreau actually said that we do not ride the railroad is riding us. Thoreau's main concern for society, I think, was that we were going to be too dependent on these technological advancements, and life was going to be too simple for us, and we could like reach out and like, oh, there's the answer that we want, there it is, it's right there, and like it's all at our fingertips. And he felt that people were going to start straying away from nature and the things that matter and how we built ourselves up as a society. And now we just kind of expect these things to be handed to us, and we expect our world to get better. For example, faithful viewer, when a new iPhone comes out, we expect higher camera resolution, more space. We expect better battery life. We expect bigger and better. We're always wanting more. And that's what Thoreau was fearful of, that we as people were going to stop admiring the beauty of the world, and we were going to stop really caring for our world and trying to better ourselves, and we were just going to become greedy. Was he right? You tell me, because I think so. So something that's really important to understand is the concept of living simply. What did Thoreau mean by live simply? What did that mean in the 19th century compared to what it means now? Well, let's go back to the 19th century. This was the height of the Industrial Revolution. This is when everyone started to kind of want to outdo their neighbors. And it's kind of that societal pattern that we're all supposed to follow. Like, we all have to have the bigger house, the bigger car. We have to want to have the next newest thing just to kind of show off. And at that point, when it gets to that point, it's like we stop living for ourselves and we're living to prove something to everyone else. I think that when Thoreau meant live simply, he really meant live for you and enjoy what we have and what we've created instead of wanting and expecting something better to come along. Really look at what we have built, really enjoy the views that you see, and stop getting caught up in this I need more, I want more machine. Just live simply. Who cares if you have a small apartment? Who cares if you can't go to Turks and Caicos every single day? Just live for yourself, listen to your thoughts, create your own morals, create your own structure that you want to follow, and live by that instead of being so dependent on society to always give you something, to hand you something, to want to show off to everybody. That's how I feel Thoreau meant by living simply. Now, today, I feel like there are a lot of ways we could live simply. For some people, going without, say, cable or internet access in their home is living a simple life, while some people aren't content until they make their own house out of rocks in a forest, and that's living simply. I'm not going to make a rock house because honestly, I would die in a forest. So with that said, realistically, I don't live a simple life. I am not simply living. I'm not living for any moment. I'm not living to admire the beauty of anything. I'm constantly moving, constantly going. My mind's always fixated on something. I don't live simply. I wish I could, but unfortunately, because of those societal norms and that societal machine that Thoreau was warning us all about, we all have these preconceived notions of how we're supposed to act and what we're supposed to do with our day. For example, if I have a day off, I feel like I'm doing something wrong by just kind of enjoying serenity and just kind of sitting down and focusing on maybe things I want to focus on. And that's what Thoreau wants us to do. He wants us to relax and work on ourselves before we can really get out into the world. And I feel like that's wrong. I feel like I should be doing something productive, that I should constantly be in a state of motion. So I don't live simply. I wish I could, but again, due to those societal norms, I can't. A simple life I would consider to be the one that I'm living right now. Again, with still those normalities in place, I feel like it's as simple as I'm allowed to be. I would repeat this experiment. I really would. And I'd like to take it a step further and maybe do it for even a longer bit of time to see if I really go stir crazy. A week goes by so fast. Before you even know it, the week's done, and I was able to use my phone again. But I would repeat the experiment. It was a nice cleanse. It also came at a time in my life where I really needed that. I was kind of going through a little bit of something, and it was nice just to kind of be like, okay, no one's going to reach me. No one's going to talk to me. It forced me to focus on myself, and that's why I definitely would repeat this experiment for sure. So we have time for one more question on this edition of Living Simply, and it's going to come from Mr. Squirrel. He's on again. Mr. Squirrel, what's your question? Actual dollars, my hard-earned money, to this Target squirrel in a Christmas hat. Life choices, everyone. So Mr. Squirrel wants to know, what did not having my cell phone force me to do? Well, I think the answer at this point is very obvious. It forced me to live simply. Let me elaborate on that. Not having my cell phone forced me to listen to myself, something I never do. Never listen to myself. I kind of just push things aside because I'm always on this constant loop of the same routine, the same pattern. I'm talking to the same people. I'm waking up and doing the same thing, scrolling through the same feed and liking posts from people I haven't spoken to in years. And when that was stripped away from me, it forced me to be by myself. And I liked it. I needed it. I needed to have time to be by myself and not worry about checking Snapchats or checking Instagram or texting my friend back about this, that, and the other thing, or listening to everyone's problems. It forced me to listen to my own problems, and it forced me to really think, okay, Nicole, what are you doing in your life that you want to do differently? And that's something when I'm constantly bombarded with so many things and conversations, and I'm accountable for so many things I'm not able to do. But when my cell phone was taken away, I was able to focus on myself. And if someone wanted to get in contact with me, they know how to find me. That was kind of my attitude. Like, if you really want to talk to me, come find me, because I don't have a phone. And it was really nice. It was truly like a breath of fresh air. Well, my tea is done, so it looks like this episode of Living Simply is over. I really hope I got to answer all of your questions, audience members. And you, Mr. Squirrel. And I will see you guys next time on the extra festive New Year's Eve edition of Living Simply. Well, faithful viewer, here's what's happening in the 1970s. I can't get words. Can't. And next question. We do have time for another one, folks. We have time for a lot more because this is quite the hefty list. Next. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. How lovely are your gorgeous $20 branches. Looking at you, Christmas tree. Just with the mostest. I can't say my own name. Why? Have you ever done something and you're just filled with immediate regret? It's happening right now. Twist. Damn it, I forgot to press stop. I'm so bad at things. In all seriousness, I hope I was able to answer all of the questions. I really tried hard to follow the sheet, but I kind of rambled and I kind of mixed a few questions in together. But I really worked hard on this, and I hope you like it, and I hope it was a little bit different from reading maybe like an essay or something mundane like that. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your support this year. You're hands down one of my favorite professors, and I definitely look forward to taking some more classes with you in the future. So thank you so much for all of your help, and I really hope that you have an amazing semester next semester, and I'll probably see you soon because I love literature. It's my thing.